Hello and welcome to the channel and welcome back to Doctor Who Reactions. This is season 12 episode 10. It is the grand finale and it is called The Timeless Children. Who sent the Siberian back in time for Percy Shelley to find and for hopefully the lone Cyberman not to find? Obviously the last humans fighting the cyber wars sent it back, but from what point in time was it sent back? Who was Ashad before he became a Cyberman? And is that even important? What was that Brendan stuff all about? Now, to me, Brendan's story has to be either real or not real. There's no other choices. If it's real and there really was a little boy called Brendan who was adopted, joined the police force, survived a fall off a cliff, and then was, so if it's real, none of it makes sense. It just opens up more questions, like who put Brendan in the middle of the lane to be found? Why is it we never really see anybody else in those flashbacks apart from Brendan, his dad, the sergeant and the criminal and his mum? It's almost as if those 5 people were the only people that existed in that town. How did he survive the fall, let alone the gunshot wound? Why was his father and the police sergeant younger than he was at the end? Unless, of course, that wasn't Brendan's dad and the sergeant, but just things disguised as. In which case, who were they, really? And what did they do to Brendan at the end? Did they, they said, and they implied it was a memory wipe. But what else did they take? Did they take everything? They said they were going to take everything, and that implies not just memories, but emotions, personality. Could they have actually regressed him back to a child? Is he on a loop where he lives his life, gets regressed back to a child, gets adopted, and just goes through time that way? Is he the timeless child? I don't know, but I think the whole thing was an analogy. It was the construct of a tortured mind that it wasn't able to handle what was really happening to it, i.e. a human being turned into a Cyberman. And I think this Brendan stuff is that, essentially, is the same as that. Okay then, more stuff, more questions. The creation of the lone Cyberman, is that important anymore? Is the lone Cyberman important now? I mean, obviously he is, but is knowing more about him important? I don't think it is. I think we've learned enough about the lone Cyberman to know what he is, and I don't think there's anything more to him than that. But what about Koshamus? Is there any more to him than meets the eye? Is he just some guardian that's been sending people through the boundary, or is he something else? Or someone else? What exactly is the Master's involvement in all this? I feel that the secret of the Timeless Child has to be something monumentally huge for the Master to destroy Gallifrey and presumably everybody on it. The Master is a genocidal, sociopathic psychopath. If the secret of the Timeless Child is that the early Gallifreyans or the early Time Lords did something to some entity, why would the Master care about that? Why would he care about something that happened to somebody else? He's never shown that sort of compassion or empathy before. So it has to be personal or so huge that he just couldn't contain himself. But I can't think of anything that would be that huge. Even rewriting all of Time Lord history so that it was actually the humans going through the boundary that were the first Time Lords, and the whole Time Lord society is built on the lie that they evolved from humans. I don't see that as changing anything. Time Lord society still evolved, it still existed. Nothing's really changed apart from folk stories. Because from Gallifrey's point of view, all this happened millions of years ago. We know from our own history that once you go past a few thousand years, you're in the realm of myth. So millions of years ago, when Rassilon came to power and etc., on all that deep lore, if it's rewritten, again, why would the Master care? So if it's not something the Time Lords did to an entity, then maybe the Timeless Child is the entity that did something to the Time Lords. Maybe it's the other way round. But again, I can't think of what it could be. The same goes for the timeless bit of the Timeless Child. What does that mean? Timeless could mean eternal. Could mean immortal. It could mean just not existing in time or not being affected by time. Is it possible that the Timeless Child has this sort of cyclic immortality? Like I said before, if it's Brendan and the Timeless Child has been going through his life, one life at a time, but then regressing back to a childhood and so forth, kind of immortal but useless immortality. Could that be it? Could it all be linked to how the Time Lords got their power in the first place? So what do I think? Okay, right, I really want to get into the story now. So I think the Brendan thing was a construct of a human's mind that was undergoing cyber conversion. And I'm thinking not the lone Cyberman. I'm thinking one of the lone Cyberman's buddies. I think that the three, the Sergeant, Brendan's dad and Brendan himself, are the three Cybermen with the rusted and, And I think that the Sergeant is the lone Cyberman, because the Sergeant is the one in charge. And Brendan's dad and Brendan are his two friends. And what we were seeing was a construct of when they were created. I could be wrong there. To wrap it up, what I think is going on is the Timeless Child was a Gallifreyan woman who had such extreme psychic abilities back in the old days when magic existed, had such extreme powers that she was able to place herself outside of the effects of time. And because she was feared, she created Time Lord Society as a puppet society. So Rassilon, Omega, they were all puppets, and every government, every Time Lord High Council, every Time Lord President has been a puppet, because the real power has been this Timeless Child. And that's why the Master was so enraged that the whole of his society were just puppet kings and puppet emperors, that he destroyed Gallifrey, because there was no point to it, because there was no power there. All the power was the Timeless Child. Maybe the Timeless Child has been secretly running the universe. That's stupid. I know that's not the answer, but it's the only one I could think of that doesn't go against deep lore, doesn't go against canon, and yet does explain what's going on. Oh, Ruth Doctor. I've forgotten about the Ruth Doctor. As I said, the most logical place for her to fit would be between 2 and 3, because of the 6B theory. I think she's pre-Hartnell, but I don't think she's just pre-Hartnell. I think she's really pre-Hartnell, like 5 or 6 regeneration cycles prior to Hartnell. Or she's somewhere in between the Peter Cushing Doctor and... I don't know. Right, we're going to get on with this now.
Good luck, humans.
We have to go through there. We have to go and get her.
No, we have to wait for the others.
You have to go through there, I think. Whoa! Here come the others.
We use their armour so they don't notice us. That way, we can move around and get off the ship.
So you want us to disguise ourselves as Cybermen?
You ever open one up?
Don't bring them here. This is between you and me.
You're not making the rules.
I can always decide to cut you short.
I want you to know, I think you're such an impressive young woman. Never thrown by anything. Always fighting. You know, I'm gonna sound like a proper old man, but you're doing your family proud. Yes, you really are. In fact, you're doing the whole human race proud.
You're not such a bad human yourself either.
I've just said all them lovely things about you, and all you give me is you're not such a bad human.
Mate, I'm from Yorkshire. That's a love letter.
Yeah.
We're ready.
I'm still suspicious of Graham. He's got secrets, I'm sure of it.
Before the Time Lords,
Before
everything we know, there was an explorer. Her name was Tecteun,
Tecteun.
from a little regarded, sparsely populated planet called Gallifrey. She found something impossible. A gateway.
Oh, right.
A boundary into another unknown.
I knew this wasn't Gallifrey.
Beneath the monument, she found
A child.
Abandoned, alone, thrown through, seemingly from the other unknown realm.
Oh, I see.
Tecteun had a choice to make. The child remained a mystery until a catastrophe.
She fell off the cliff. Brendan is the timeless child.
For Tecteun, or so she thought.
Regenerated. So
The
that
first regeneration of any person on the planet of Gallifrey.
nice. I'm liking it. So they harnessed her power.
The new cyber army shall have one goal. The destruction of all organic life. That's your thinking.
Yeah.
How are you going to manage that?
The death particle. One particle, when activated, capable of destroying all organic life.
Now, having seen her adopted child regenerate her body, Tecteun, a scientist and explorer, had a new landscape to explore. Tested the theory on herself. Put her own life on the line. Spliced into herself the genetic ability to regenerate.
Oh, okay. Thought we was going to see a Ruth Doctor there.
Didn't know any of this. The planet of Gallifrey evolved. Shobogans grew in knowledge and ability. They built themselves a citadel. Civilization which renamed themselves with characteristic pomposity. Time Lords.
Okay.
Profoundly
It doesn't really change anything.
had become the founder.
What happened to the child?
Ah. That had endless regenerations, didn't it? You are the
What
child.
happened to the child?
Haven't you worked this out yet?
She's the child. She's a timeless child. She has to be. She's still regenerating.
The child is you. Come on, Siberia. Show us some leg what you actually look like.
It will not leave me.
Oh, it might. It might.
Oh. Okay.
Fair enough. He's going to kill him, isn't he? Is that what the Siberium even wants? Oh. I don't think that went quite as the Master was thinking. You would.
You can see why I'm angry.
No,
And that
actually,
peace
no.
of you is in me.
Oh, yeah.
All I am is somehow because of you, and believe me when I say I cannot bear that.
Okay, then, yeah, I get it now.
Show me the rest.
Policy of the Time Lords is clear. Strict non-intervention in other worlds and times. Policy and reality
She's just like
sometimes
gapped.
diverge. There are times when it is necessary to intervene. I propose.
What have you done?
Not me. That was done long before I got here.
Records being
Everything
erased.
here is redacted.
How much was lost?
Thousands of years.
Impossible to tell.
Millions of years, possibly.
Took up a lot of space in the Matrix, though. Yeah. There is one final trace. Those glitches of Island you keep seeing. Those images that were buried deep in the Matrix. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, crapping hell.
Let's test it out.
That looks frightening.
Shoot him. Good dog.
Good
All
dog.
dead. Could it be?
Oh, crap, he's done it already.
Yes, it could.
Oh, my God. Regenerating Cybermen.
Behold! Your new Cybermaster's Doctor. All born from you. Led by me. How does that feel?
Not good, probably. Not good at all.
It means I'm not who I thought I was.
Because your memories aren't compatible with what you've learned today.
Yes.
Have you ever been limited by who you were before?
No.
Now that does sound like me talking. Nothing ventured, nothing blown. Oh, I'm talking to myself again. It's a good sign. Thanks, Doctor. Still here. Now shut up. I need to concentrate.
Wow. Morbius doctors were there. This explains the Morbius doctors. I'm going to have to do a freeze frame on that lot. Nope. Those words were enough.
Just a moment there. I thought maybe.
Koshamas,
Excuse me.
I knew you wasn't who you...
Those gate crashes.
You can't still be here. I set the controls.
I followed you out. They tried to stop me. But I wanted to be sure that these things are gone.
To the finish.
Go, Doctor, go.
My journey ends here.
And all the while the Master is just standing there.
So I suggest you run. Run, Doctor!
Don't you dare.
Doctor!
Whoa! Jadoon?
Jadoon Cold Case Unit. Fugitive, the Doctor. Sentence, whole of life imprisonment. Maximum security. security facility.
What?
What?
We can't be leaving it like that. Okay, it appeared that my original outro didn't record properly, so I'll have to do another one. Okay, let's start. Okay then, so that wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. It was pretty good actually. I'm not going to say I loved it, but I didn't mind it. Let's start with the Cybermen. I thought it was a rather satisfying conclusion to the Cyberman story. Pardon me, I've just burped. I thought it was a pretty good conclusion to the Cyberman story that we'd been introduced to in Ascension. Well, we really got introduced to it in The Haunting. The lone Cyberman did make a very effective villain, but I'm glad he's dead. I don't think he was a reusable villain. Very effective standalone, but yeah, I don't see him being effective as a recurring villain. So yeah, it was a good job of Chibs to kill him off in this episode, and the perfect way as well. The Cyber Army, fantastic. Loving the designs, and the Cyber Lords at the end were fantastic. Especially, I don't know if that quill thing, the headdress, was a little bit over the top, and I don't really know where they found time to actually incorporate that into their design. But they look good. They look good. That's a merchandising opportunity right there. But they all got killed off because, let's face it, Cyber Time Lords, they're just way too OP to be, again, an effective recurring enemy. So I'm glad that they got killed off. But it was good to see. I mean, haven't we all wondered at some point, had that stray thought, I wonder what would happen if the Cybermen took over the Time Lords? And now we see it, and we see how powerful they would become. Yeah, I rather gleed out at that little moment. Then we have the Timeless Child, the explanation. And I did notice that Chibs put enough holes and enough missing parts in there for any rewrites or anything to be expanded upon. It's thoroughly ignorable if they never make reference to it again. And I don't think it changes the lore a little bit, but not enough for me to care. And it only confirmed a lot of the canon. Now, to me, the deep lore, the continuity of the expanded media, the Big Finish and the several novel series, for me are fair pickings. Any writer can take and discard whatever they choose from that and bring it into the canon. The only real canon that matters is the TV show, for me. I mean, I do enjoy the other media, but to me, the canon is the TV show only. And, I mean, there's plenty of stuff that I've ignored over the years to fit in with my own personal headcanon. And if this Timeless Child thing turns into something bigger and something that I don't like, I can ignore it. I mean, we quickly forgot all about the time that the moon was an egg, or that Robin of Sherwood actually existed, and all the other things over the years. Hellbent, There's so much in Doctor Who that comes and goes, gets ignored, that I don't really see this timeless child thing being a problem, apart from it does lead the way for writers in the future to do prequel episodes. And I'm not keen on that. I prefer the TV show to follow a certain linearity to the Doctor's timeline. That we always follow the Doctor in the now, as it were, from his own or her own personal timeline point of view. It's difficult with a time travel show. And I'd prefer to keep the past to flashbacks, or even preferably just dialogue. Just they talk about the past and talk about how things were, and we find our information that way rather than actually seeing it. Okay, rant over on that point. Apart from that, and apart from the fact that it kind of eliminates the Pythia from the lore, I don't have a problem with it. Okay, the Doctor's from somewhere else, and it is the template for all Time Lords. But she's not really. I mean, okay then, the secret of regeneration may have been the catalyst for Time Lord Society, but it wasn't the whole of Time Lord Society. They still had to invent time travel, or discover time travel, invent TARDISes, in which they had to discover interdimensional whatever. They still had to discover all these things and grow as a species. And that, you know, that montage we saw could have taken place over thousands of years. We don't know. Rassilon, Omega, they still play a part in Time Lord history. And really, the Timeless Child just proves the other. The other was a founder of Time Lord Society that was written out of the history books, which is why they're only known as the other, because no one knows their real name. Who does that sound like? It now sounds like the Doctor, but no one knows their real name. They've been written, or part of their lives have been written out of the history books, especially the parts concerning the founding of Gallifrey and the founding of Time Lord Society. The Doctor is the other. Never really wanted that to happen, but there we go. But there's so many other holes in there. For instance, it's only the Master that says that the Timeless Child is the Doctor. The Matrix offers no proof of that because the records have been wiped, and not even the Master can hack them. So, okay then, the Doctor did say that she had those memories of Ireland that kept flashing into her head, but then the Master said that he implanted those into her head. So they may be fake, or at least not her own. There's no real proof that the Doctor is actually the Timeless Child, and it can easily be rewritten that she isn't. In fact, maybe the Master is. That would make a lot more sense. The Master being the Timeless Child, and the Doctor being involved in erasing his history from the Matrix and erasing his memory. That could be the catalyst for why he hates the Doctor subconsciously all his lives. Why he burnt Gallifrey to the ground and killed everyone on it. And there's still no explanation of how he actually did that. Considering the population of Gallifrey is like in the tens of billions. How did he, on his own, kill everyone? Yeah, maybe that's why he needed the Kasavin. Maybe that they were the assassins. I don't know. There was plenty of stuff this season that hasn't been explained. And Chibnall did say he was on a 3-year plan, so we have to wait and see whether all of this is going to be expanded upon or just dropped. I don't care either way, to be fair. It's still, at its core, the show that I've always loved. It's a concept which allows differing and imaginative stories to be written based around a central theme, i.e. a person from another time / planet who has the ability to travel in time and takes people with them on adventures. And it allows so much scope for stories. We've seen over the last 56 years, there's no slowing down on the amount of stories being pumped out for Doctor Who, because it's such a simple concept and such a broad one. And at its heart, The Timeless Child does not change any of that. So it's still the show I love. It may be in a dip period, popularity wise, and even my own love of the show has taken a little bit of a dip over the last couple of seasons, but not so much that I'm going to abandon it. Never. And really, I've actually enjoyed this season, but I will talk more about that in my season 12 overview, which I will produce at some point. I'm really slow at making videos, so expect that in the next 6 or 7 months. Hopefully before the next special, which I'm assuming is going to be at Christmas or New Year. Before that comes out, I'll get round to it. One thing I did notice, though, is the ending, where the Doctor is locked up on her own in isolation in a secure prison. Gives her time to think about everything that she's learned and everything that the Master has told her, and also think maybe about the holes in his explanation, and maybe decide what she's going to do about it. Is she going to try and recover that lost data, or is she going to leave it and just go off on some adventures, go and pick up Graham and Yaz and Ryan and shoot off to the stars? It did seem very final, Ryan, Yaz and Graham's departure. They just got dropped off on Earth. The Doctor didn't even do it herself. Seemed rather impersonal, but still rather final. I think if she does come back to grab them at some point in season 13, I don't think all of them are going to accept. Maybe Graham will, but Yaz and Ryan, yeah, I think they're going to stay on Earth, and we're going to get some new companions next season. I'm waffling. Right. I think Chibnall needs to take some time to think about where he wants to go with this storyline, whether he wants to expand upon it or not. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Till then, well, there isn't a next time, is there? Oh. Well, bye.